How's it gaming? I'm Phil in the Blanks, and welcome back to the Black Box Files with File 14 Stack Up, the episode I have been dreading since we started this project. And the reason why is because there is not a whole lot of game with Stack Up. There is actually more story surrounding the game than there is game itself. And the other reason why I was dreading is because this requires a peripheral called R.O.B. And I don't have a R.O.B. It's a little robot doohickey that you probably know from Smash Brothers, and I never got a chance to kind of get one here in Canada. They are very expensive, and there was just never a good value for me to get one, unfortunately. But that's okay. I can still kind of show off what this game is about, and I'll have to show a little bit more footage outside of the game. I don't normally like to do a whole lot of this in my Let's Plays, but this is a very different episode than normal, so let's talk about the history of R.O.B the Robot. In 1983 in North America, the video game industry crashed and burned, thanks to Atari and some bad business decisions and just flooding the market with terrible, terrible games. But in Japan, video games were doing fine, and Nintendo made their own console called the Famicom, the Family Computer, which was the Japanese version of the NES. And in 1985, they decided, hey, maybe it's time to try to crack that North American market again. But they knew that they couldn't just market a video game system. That would just be poison to their brand, because no one wanted a video game, no one would stock a video game. So they tried a lot of different things to make it look something different. They were originally going to call it the Advanced Video System, but that sounded too close to like the Atari. So they called it the Nintendo Entertainment System. They made it look more like a VCR than a video game machine, and they packaged certain bundles with R.O.B the Robot, which made it look more like a toy. A little plastic character you could play your video games with. And his name stood for Robotic Operating Buddy. And as stupid as that sound, man, it worked. It worked. The Nintendo Entertainment System did pretty okay in its test markets in New York and then Los Angeles. And then later on in 1986, the rest of North America. So kudos for them. But this is R.O.B the Robot. Just like how the Zapper reacts to a camera seeing flashes on your TV when you're playing like Duck Hunt or something, R.O.B the Robot has cameras in his eyes that senses the light coming from the screen as well. The difference is the Zapper communicates with the Nintendo, while R.O.B the Robot does not. He just gets information and instructions from the TV to either bring his arms up or down or left or right, or to close his weird little claw things or open up his weird little claw things. And that was the extent of what R.O.B could do. He didn't actually interact with the Nintendo, which is very, very weird. And there were 2 games released for it, Stack Up, which is the game we're looking at today, and Gyromite, which is File 15. We'll do that next week. And let's jump in there now that you kind of know. And you might be wondering, why the hell does the title screen say Robot Block? And that's because in Japan, Stack Up was called Robot Block. R.O.B was just called Robot. And this was so close to the North American release that they, I don't know if they were just lazy or didn't have time, but they did not change the chips inside the NES cartridges to read Stack Up. They're just like, it's good enough. So Robot Block it is. And we'll see the same problem in Gyromite, which is called Robot Gyro. But let's jump in there with Robot Block or Stack Up. R.O.B comes with these like 5 colored, they call them blocks, but I heard them called, they're like poker chips, and I kind of see them like that instead. And you line them up on your R.O.B. Let's go to test. Test is just it. There. That was just making sure your R.O.B worked. But yeah, let's go to direct. This is kind of the main game. And you'll have your blocks stacked up on R.O.B. You see red, white, blue, yellow, and green. And now you need to figure out how many turns or movements it would take R.O.B to solve this puzzle, which is to get that stack of blocks from 3 onto 1. And, well, we don't have a R.O.B here, but let's pretend his arms were on red, so we'd want to move down. Down again, because he's on white. Now he's on blue. Now he's on yellow. Now he's on green. And then we'll get him to close his little hands. And I don't know if you'd have to lift him back up. Let's go up 1. And then we'll move him left twice, then down again, and then open up his weird little hands. And you did it! But the game has no way of telling you that you solved the puzzle. So you press start, and you tell the game that you won. On to phase 2. And you just do the next puzzle. So now you just lift it from the blue and move it on to 2. you probably can see the problem here, and that is this game does not need to be a video game, and it certainly doesn't need Rob the Robot. You could literally do this with like 6 dice or something like that, and just move them around and count how many times it takes for you to move them around. Like, you have, like, we have mobile app ads that do this, basically. I can't believe this was a video game. And that is it. That is this entire game. You can lie to it. I beat it. And you'll just move on to the next level. You'll be like, I beat it in 0 moves. That's how good I am. And you'll just get points. And that is the game. I cannot believe that this is what Nintendo packaged with the NES. But man, like I said, it worked. It worked. There are a couple different modes. There's memory, for example, which is sort of interesting. It's like almost like a pseudo programming game. Here's the puzzle. So let's say again that Rob's hands are up on the red. So you want to move down, and you program it. Move down twice, so now he's on blue. Then we'll move the hand, and then we'll lift it back up, I guess. And then we'll go to the left twice. No, that went to the right. So now we'll have to go back to the left 3 times because I messed up. And then down, I guess? I don't know. And then open his hands. And you go to end, and then it'll, like, play it. So now it'll give Rob the instructions, I think, from here. I'm not sure how this works, actually. But it's basically the same idea, except you pre-program the movement, and then you watch Rob do it, as your 5-year-old brain can't comprehend that you programmed a robot. Press select, you go back to the menu. The last one is bingo, and there's a 2-player version of this, which is kind of weird. But basically, it's the exact same thing, except in order to make Rob do anything, you need to make a line like in bingo. So you need to do all this, and then it goes to the right. And you have enemies! And they can hurt your main character, and your little guy is named Hector. Dr. Hector. And the second player is Dr. Vector. And the enemy is like Hubert. They'll move around, they'll hit the things you don't want them to hit. It is so weird that this is a game. None of this needed to be electronic. None of this needed to have a little robotic operating buddy. It is crazy that this worked. And nowadays, if you want to get a copy of Stack Up with all of the parts necessary, it is outrageously expensive. I have a copy of Gyromite, the second Rob game. I don't think I'll ever have a copy of Stack Up. Absolutely not. But guys, that is it. That is Stack Up. The only good part is this music is really catchy. And I guess it made a character that's really fun for Smash Brothers. I mean, that's the only other thing that I can kind of see that's a positive about this. But this is by far one of the weirdest games Nintendo's ever released. And thus far, out of all 14 files we've seen, probably the worst game in the Black Box files. But next time we will see something a little bit better, a much, much better game that uses Rob the Robot that we can play, even though we don't have a Rob the Robot with us. We can still play it. We can still have fun with it. With that, I'm Phil the Blanks, and we'll see you next time on File 15, Gyromite. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this episode, click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to know when the next episode is up. If you want to support my channel, share some videos with some friends and consider supporting me on Patreon.